Okay, hello everyone. This is Hanno's Coach Corner. My name is Manny Thangudarai, and I will be filling in for the first half of the Brentford-Manchester United game for Hanno, who is not here at the moment. And I mean, this is the first time I'm doing this. I was actually looking forward to, doing it while watching the telly, but there have been some issues on my side. But I will definitely fill you in on what's going on. Courtesy of our good friends from BBC Sports. So let's just take a look and see what's been going on. I will give you some of the team news as well. So let me just. So let's just take a look and. Yeah, I've also had to, have to make sure that the YouTube was silent. So let me share the screen right now and provide you some updates, courtesy of BBC Sports. We'll go straight to the team news and see what's going on. Of course, we all know that it will be Christian Eriksen's return to Brentford for the first time since leaving them, joining Manchester. Oh, well, good news indeed. Apparently, kickoff has started. Now, right, good. So that's a wonderful thing. Now, I want to make it crystal clear to you that it's a minute has just gone. So if kickoff hasn't started yet, as soon as I say, you guys might want to pause or something like that. I'm really sorry, but so there's been some action immediately. United are playing in their third strip, which looks to be sort of a fluorescent yellow. Shaw's on the ball now, along with right. So it's Martinez who's got the number 6 jersey. And it's all the way with Diogo Dalot now on the right-hand side. Still some good work down the right. All the way back to the left. Luke Shaw, number 23, going up the flank. Obviously, the return of Eriksen was a unique subplot, and he has the ball right now, trying to carve an opening in, straight into the Brentford defence. Still some good work right now. It's Fred who had it, and he's got it back. And so there's been some good action, obviously, in 5 games before today. A goal fest at the Etihad Stadium between Manchester City and Bournemouth. No goals for Erling Haaland, but he did have a pretty good game overall. We'll definitely get to an overview of the results. But it's really fun to see what's going on right now with regard to this game. I wasn't expecting to be able to watch it. And 2.5 minutes gone, so I will tell you the time. If I'm ahead of any of you, please don't hesitate to tell it to me and say so. And if I'm ahead of you in any way, I'd like you to pause the YouTube video so that you can sort of resume from that place. So it's rather cagey affair so far. 3 minutes have just gone, still no goals. And get your predictions in the chat. What do you think it's going to be? I'm going for a 2-1 win because United need to start their season. Some action going on right now, and we'll sort of see what's been going on. Now, I wasn't expecting to start a little bit this late, but I can give you some team news right now, and I'll see if I want to make sure that I can find it. Yeah. So, still some. Yeah, so this was the team news, and hopefully I'm still sharing my screen. Yep, still sharing it. So, the later team news was here. Thomas Frank made 2 changes from the side, which drew 2-2 with Leicester, who just lost 4-2 to Arsenal today. So Mads Roerslev and Josh Da Silva, who scored that level off the bench, were recalled as Johan Wissa and Vitaly Janelt dropped out. This is the starting 11 for Brentford, operating on a 4-3-3 with Hickey and Henry as wing-backs. Thank you, sorry about that. So 4-3-3, Tony supported by Da Silva on the left and Wemo on the right. And this is how they're operating. As for Manchester United, they've also got a 4-3-3 going on. Marcus Rashford retains his place, and he will be linking up with Cristiano Ronaldo and Jadon Sancho up front. Fernandes, Fred, and Eriksen in the midfield, so no McTominay. Yep, and he's actually been replaced by Ronaldo, so probably a more proactive side of things to come. Some action there in the United penalty area, and a corner has been won. Looking rather clumsy over there from the United defence, and Brentford are certainly getting into their stride at the moment. Well, as long as you get it away, any which way, you get it away, but that corner is how it is. So Ronaldo coming in is the only change, and McTominay will be on the bench, and that's pretty much it. So I will not need to share the screen anymore. I'm watching the television right now. 5 minutes, 21 seconds gone. The corner has been taken left. It's Mbuemo who's taking it. And shanked over the bar by Henry, the number 3. So, Akeji coming in as a lively start, and I want to make sure that any comments coming in? Not yet, but yeah, the TV is working. It is working, and I'm really sorry for the early inconvenience. But hey, let's get back to it right now. No harm, no foul. Okay, so 6 minutes are gone, still no score, and the reason why I keep looking at the time and telling you the time is because I may be ahead of some of you with regard to real time. It may be a matter of seconds or maybe 1 or 2 minutes, but we will see how it goes on. So I don't want to be a spoiler in any way. So if you feel as though I'm ahead of you, press the pause button on your YouTube at some particular time, and then once it matches with your TV screen, then you can switch it back on. So now we're back in the Brentford half. Fred, who's passed it away, still in the half. Looks like Eriksen has it. Back to Fred. All the way to Shaw, who just about controls it and earns a throw, but or has he conceded a free kick? Looks as though he's conceded a free kick. Looks as though he has conceded a free kick. Still some good work there, and that was a rather nasty clash, and it was Aaron Hickey, the Scottish international, who sort of came coming in. Painful clash of the knees. Should be all right. Walking a little bit gingerly, but he'll be all right. Made his debut for Scotland, in fact, in the World Cup playoff against the Ukraine, ahead of Nathan Patterson and Stephen O'Donnell, only to end up not having the best game. 3-1 loss condemned Scotland to defeat. All they can do now is try and win their Nations League group, which includes the Ukraine, along with Northern Ireland and Armenia. More cagey stuff. Ronaldo's first start. There's been some talk about him possibly leaving United, and I've always believed that if he is becoming a bit of a disruptive influence, then it might be better to sell him. But the fact is, I mean, it seems apparent rather that he's probably the only person, aside from De Gea, in that lineup, and of course Eriksen, with any real star quality. And it's interesting to see that Ten Hag has given Rashford another go. I'll be very interested to see how he performs in this game. So it's a free kick for Brentford. Not a very dangerous position, but certainly one which can be rather probing, if you will. And it was taken by Hickey. And no one's going to get that. All the way out for a goal kick. So 8.5 minutes gone, still no goals. Now, Brentford also recently signed Mikael Damsgaard, who starred for Denmark in the Euros. Rather interesting. Out with one Danish international, in with another. Of course, it's wonderful to see Eriksen playing again, and I'm really happy that he was able to resurrect his career at Brentford. I'm pretty certain that the Bees crowd gave him a standing ovation. They remembered his contribution. And that's pretty much it. No ill feelings, but he wanted to move on to something bigger, and he has done so. And a dreadful mistake there from David De Gea, and Brentford are 1-0 up, right in the 10th minute. Josh Da Silva, who scored the equaliser, has come up with a speculative shot, which the normally world-class and reliable Spanish international David De Gea has just allowed to squirm under him into the net. Build-up play in the midfield, left all alone, nobody's really marking him, speculative shot, and boy will he not want to look at that. After Danny Ward's terrible mistake earlier on the day for Leicester, it looks as though David De Gea has a bad case of butterfingers, and any goalkeeper will tell you that is not the way to gather a shot like that. Nobody has come in for him. Martinez made an attempt to try to get it off him, but that was a dreadful mistake. And you can see that by letting Henderson go on loan to Nottingham Forest, only ending up with himself and Tom Heaton as the senior keepers, United are in a bit of bother here. But that was a moment of gold from Da Silva. No doubt about it. Well, it's been credited as a Da Silva goal. It won't be a De Gea own goal, but anyone who sees that on the replay will know they should have done better. But now the wounded Red Devils are up and running in the Brentford penalty area, and it's Fernandes. Bruno with a brutish shot, sadly over the bar. This isn't rugby, Bruno. You got to do better. And you can see how they were able to cut straight through the Brentford defence coming in and just trying to make way. Luke Shaw, outstanding. But sadly, I mean, to be fair, maybe he was covered fairly well enough, but you still expect to hit the target from that position, and that was absolutely awful. Yeah. So it's Ben Mee who was the defender who joined Brentford from Burnley, one of the Burnley team members who got relegated. Two other players, Tarkowski and McNeil, went to Everton, who were very unfortunate to be beaten 1-0 by Chelsea, and who were in fact beaten today by Aston Villa in the early kickoff. Still in the Brentford penalty area. It's nice to see that United have responded well by, really coming at them, but I certainly believe that Ten Hag will have words to say. So that was Rashford to Martinez to Shaw, back to Rashford, back to Martinez, who was signed as a left back, but who is now playing centre back now. Of course, he is versatile enough to play centre back, left back, and as a defensive midfielder. And so it's Della and Sancho, who are on the right, trying to cause some havoc, coming to nothing at the moment. Right. So I will go through some of the scores earlier on today, and we'll see, just give you a roundup of what happened. So in the early kickoff, Aston Villa did beat Everton 2-1, and it was a relief that they did, because Aston Villa needed that win after that shock loss to Bournemouth. Goals from Danny Ings and Emi Buendia were enough to help see them through. Buendia scoring in the 85th minute, only for a Lucas Digne own goal in the 87th minute to make things interesting, setting up that grandstand finish. Interestingly enough, Digne was an Everton player and actually scored an own goal for Aston Villa then, and now he's repeated the trick here. Talk about lightning striking in the same place twice. By all accounts, it was a more accomplished performance from the Villains, and they needed that, definitely. And it was a good way for Steven Gerrard to get off the mark. There has been talk about him being under pressure, but it seems to be a little bit unfounded for now. And with Tyrone Mings coming back into the team, he had a pretty good game today, and for now, all is well. I do not approve of the way Mings had the captaincy taken away from him, but maybe it's brought out the best in him. Of course, Gerrard should know, having won the Liverpool captaincy in similar circumstances as a player from Sami Hyypiä, in the days when the late Gerard Houllier was managing the club. May he rest in peace. And as for the other results, Leicester City losing to Arsenal, a game which ended up providing a lot of goals. 2 goals for Gabriel Jesus and 2 assists for Gabriel Jesus. Man of the match in every way. Granit Xhaka and Martinelli with the other 2 goals. Saliba scoring an own goal, very, very unfortunately. An attempted headed clearance ended up going into the net. James Maddison came back, got a goal back, but with Martinelli scoring a minute later, that pretty much was that. We can see Ten Hag there taking a lot of notes. He will have a lot to say to his boys during the halftime team talk. And if De Gea can shake this off, it'll be good for him. He will need to shake this off. Been there, won the t-shirt, done it many times, should have the experience to cope. A lot of talk in the Arsenal-Leicester game was about how Yuri Tielemans would be performing, and as is known, there has been some interest in him from Arsenal. But by all accounts, Granit Xhaka had a pretty good game. Had some issues where he probably looked a little bit slow at times, but then his box-to-box running, for the most part, was really good. He deserved his goal. Terrible error from Danny Ward in the process, but he got his goal, and all seems to be well with him. And now there seems to be a problem here, and a free kick has been awarded. A foul by Harry Maguire, a booking for the Manchester United captain, and it does seem as though the former Leicester City defender has had a very torrid time at Manchester United, clearly not suited to handling the pressure. And to be frank, how he gets picked for England on a regular basis is beyond me. Maybe he has some good qualities, but, well, he had to sort of commit to that tackle, but, you know, you can't lose the ball like that in that area, and especially with De Silva and Tony coming up against you, you are running a very big risk. That's all that can be said. So, it looks as though right. The only question is who might be taking this Brentford free kick. And it looks as though right. So it could be one of Brian Mbeumo or maybe Matthias Jensen who could be taking it. Both of them are standing over the ball. It could be looks as though it might be Jensen who could be taking it. Let's see who it is. It is Jensen with his right foot and just over the bar. Okay. So we can just see the wall did its job for the most part. Beautiful curl, but just not having that dip. A bit too much elevation there. Beautifully curled over. I'm pretty certain De Gea would have had that covered, but content to watch that sail over. So Arsenal 4, Leicester 2 in the air, and more confusion now. It's all happening out there. And Jensen, who had just missed that free kick, has now scored a second goal, and Manchester United are in disarray. Absolute disarray. Ronaldo is livid. De Gea standing there, Ten Hag shaking his head. It's all falling apart for the Red Devils. It's all falling apart. Right, so Martinez to De Gea. An attempted clearance, intercepted by Jensen, and I think it was Eriksen who came back there. And this is one of the reasons why you cannot have midfielders performing defensive duties. An absolute comedy of errors there. Jensen was able to overrun Eriksen, steered it in, De Gea went the wrong way, and it's turmoil for Manchester United. Everything that can go wrong is going wrong. Murphy's Law in action. That's all that can be said. Yeah. Added Time Podcast has joined in saying this is embarrassing, embarrassing, embarrassing. Not at all nice, and yet you said it thrice. I feel pity for you, but it's definitely not easy. But again, they're coming up down the left through Rashford, who slips it through to Fred, I think it was. Yes, he got intercepted. And now they're coming away again. And that has just gone out. Otherwise, that would have been a very promising attack indeed. Brian Mbeumo there. And if we... You blink and you miss this. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing how I'm able to, having to keep tabs on the game and also trying to tell you about the results at the same time. But this is end-to-end stuff. And if you're a Manchester United fan, I know you've got the temptation to turn away. But just remember, 20 minutes haven't even passed yet. There's still plenty of time. The only problem is there needs to be a shake-up. The sad part is that with McTominay having dropped out, it looks as though there doesn't seem to be that much of a difference. I will say though, that there was poor defending over there. It looks as though Martinez does look a little bit ill-suited to be centre-back. Having him playing left-back or on the left side of the defensive midfield would probably be more desirable, perhaps. Goal kick for Brentford. Now I can continue with the roundup of the earlier results. Brighton and Newcastle played out a goalless draw. Even Stevens between the Seagulls and the Magpies. Nothing much in there. There was, in fact, a second-half header from the former Liverpool midfielder Alan Lallana, which was clawed away by England goalkeeper Nick Pope. He also denied Solly March from close range later on. So clearly the Seagulls had the better of the chances and could have won that game. And, yep. Another goal line clearance from Fabian Schär, and then an agony Pascal Gross. And it was all Brighton in that game. No goals. Huffed and puffed, but just couldn't blow the Magpies down. But these are both teams which now look destined to enjoy good seasons, and obviously Newcastle, following their win against Nottingham Forest, look a lot more solid. The new acquisitions by Eddie Pope seem to work quite well. Harsh on Martin Dubravka, who had his good moments for Newcastle, but Pope has been a bit of an upgrade, if you will. That's 2 clean sheets for him on the trot. Some action in the Brentford penalty area, headed away. Sancho has it, slipping it through to Diogo Dalot, but still running straight into the Brentford defence like a train, hitting the buttons. Still back with United, though, not that much in terms of action. So again, both teams, Brighton and Newcastle, looking set for promising seasons. Definitely will avoid relegation. Could battle for a top 10 finish. Europe might not be far away, but for Newcastle, I suppose it could potentially be too soon. We will have to see. And as expected, City thrashed Bournemouth 4-0. An own goal from Lerma, spoiling my prediction of a 3-0 win. Before that, it was Ilkay Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, and Phil Foden with the goals. Foden had a goal and an assist. De Bruyne had a goal and an assist. Haaland had an assist. So, no goal today on Haaland's home debut, but he certainly was involved in the game and, looked very sharp, looked quite lively. Probably more livelier than United are now, despite all the possession they've had. Over 70% of possession compared to the Bees' near 30%, and yet they're 2 goals down. Defensive mistakes have been their undoing. So, 18 minutes to take his first touch for Haaland, and he used it to set up Ilkay Gundogan. Dominated the game, never unexpected, easy win. And Bournemouth should also do quite well, though. I mean, I did have them going down, but they show some baffling qualities. And obviously, if you come up against City at the Etihad, you're a lamb to the slaughter. So it is what it is. A 2-2 draw at the St Mary's Stadium between Southampton and Leeds United. Rodrigo scoring a couple of goals for Leeds to put them 2-0 up, only for Southampton to equalise first through Joe Aribo, the new summer signing, and also the former Tottenham defender Kyle Walker-Peters. Gritty comeback. I mean, I had Southampton to stay alive, and the qualities that they've shown in terms of being able to withstand the Leeds attack, they've been on full display today. Leeds have actually surprised me so far in these 2 games. After losing Calvin Phillips and Rafinha, I predicted that they would struggle this season, but so far they look quite tight, and they could definitely give a few teams a run for their money this season. So we're going to see how that pans out. And the advantage was, of course, handed there, and share of the spoils. Temperatures over in England are quite hot at the moment, so there are drinks breaks, and there were plenty of drinks breaks during the Arsenal-Leicester game. Actually, I think there was just one in each half, but hopefully there may be more. We will see how that pans out. But good result for Southampton. Slightly disappointing for Leeds, but 4 points in 2 games. They're not going to complain. And speaking of the drinks break, here is one now. An effective timeout. And Ten Hag does not look happy. He does not look happy. But whatever he says will probably be calm and collected. They don't look good, though, Manchester United, it has to be said. Winning the ball in midfield, passing it out to De Silva, who takes a speculative shot, and a goalkeeper of De Gea's calibre should do better there. Seriously. Get your body behind the ball, son. Don't use your hands. A dreadful mistake. And clearly there was a lack of awareness, positional awareness, player awareness. The idea that I really don't know what Eriksen was thinking there. Was he trying to do his side a favour? He just did. And with the prospect of Damsgaard coming on and making an appearance, we all know that he could hit a good ball. It's looking bad. Now back to the other game that was played today, and that is Wolves against Fulham. Both sides needing a win, although Fulham had a really good game against Liverpool. Second successive draw, clean sheets for both goalkeepers, Marek Rodak and Jose Sarr. Sarr, in fact, saved a late Alexander Mitrovic penalty. He was denied with 10 minutes left after Ryan Aït-Nouri had brought down Bobby de Cordova-Reid. And both goalkeepers actually had a decent game. In fact, Neto and Hwang Hee-chan had chances on the left-hand side, saved by Marek Rodak in the Fulham goal. So no appearance yet for Bernd Leno. I don't know if he will get to play. Frustrating for him because I'm sure he would have been thinking of the German World Cup squad, but I can tell you right now that with Neuer, ter Stegen and Trapp ahead of him and playing Champions League football, I think he might have to give up that dream. But hopefully he'll get some games to play and he'll remind people of his ability. And now some action in the United half now. The defenders come back. Well done by Eriksen there. And that's how you do it, Christian. You don't pass it to your ex-teammate. Fulham should have, in fact, taken the lead in the first half after de Cordova-Reid was found by corner, but Ruben Neves, the new Wolves captain, made a heroic clearance. Another goal line clearance. So it looks as though goal line clearances have been the order of the day this match day. Just goes to show that whatever you can do to stop a goal from being scored, you've just got to do it. There was also another controversial incident in the Arsenal-Leicester game, and it looks as though Fernandes has conceded a free kick here. He's wearing the number 8 today, and Bruno, you can't do that. Sticking his knee out, tripping up Aaron Hickey. It's another free kick, and this could be dangerous. This could be dangerous. So it's outside the penalty area on the right, and it looks as though it's Mbeumo and Jensen who are standing over it. Jensen might be the person this time. Mbeumo's gone further in. And we're going to see how this pans out. Still standing over it. Still standing over. Floated inside and punched away by De Gea. That should give him some confidence. He certainly played more than enough games for Spain and Manchester United to know how to handle it. And another free kick conceded, this time by Diogo Dalot on the right. And it's De Silva who's won that free kick. So that free kick was floated by Jensen towards more or less De Gea, who had the sense to punch it away. Very well coordinated. Now there's another free kick on the left. Jensen again, with that right foot of his, will try to curl it in. Looks as though United are all at sea. Getting stung by the bees today. Boy, have they been stung. Badly stung. And so, what comes of this free kick? Headed away, danger's not away. Corner conceded by Rashford, and once again, they're swarming all over the Red Devils. So I was about to talk about the controversy in the Arsenal-Leicester game when there was a shout for a penalty when Ramsdale was adjudged to have initially impeded Jamie Vardy, only for VAR to come to his rescue and deem that there was no claim and the former England striker. So a let-off there, but having seen that over and over again, I'm more than convinced that Ramsdale didn't need to come out that far, put his team at a great risk there. Bueno with the corner. Headed back in. And a third goal! And this time it is Ben Mee. The summer signing from Burnley has put his team 3 up. And it is looking horrible. Right. Manchester United's defence in the MUD. Brilliantly said, Out of Time podcast. Last week, Brighton Munich. This week, Brentford Munich. I think it's fair to say that teams beginning with B, the B teams are stinging you right now. And boy, this doesn't look good. Headed back in brilliantly. I think it was the Silva who headed it back in, no, someone else. And Mee was on there. And I don't know what Lisandro Martinez was thinking. That was a pretty poor attempt to try and challenge him. Just fell right back into it. Awful. Absolutely awful. Ivan Toney it was who headed it back in. So you can see how pivotal Toney is to the Brentford team. My goodness. 31 minutes gone. Brentford 3, Manchester United 0. And Maguire and De Gea do not look happy. No, they don't. I can just imagine Roy Keane right now. I know that he probably wouldn't be allowed to smoke a cigar in the Sky Sports commentary booth, but if he's having something to eat, he'll be spitting it out. If he has a pen, he'll be throwing it across the desk, just like Eamon Dunphy, who collaborated with him on his first autobiography. The poor man is standing over there, Ronaldo, thinking, to think I actually stayed back for this. It might have been better if he had left. I seriously don't know what's going on at the moment with Manchester United. Are the players responding to Ten Hag's tactics? Yep, he looks like a little child trying to play football with his much bigger brother and friends. It's laughable. You're right, it is. And this is what I don't understand as well. You've got the bloke over here who's barely 5'6", yeah? You want your central defenders in the English Premier League to be taller guys, about 6'2" or 6'4", not necessarily as tall as your goalkeepers, but tall enough to be good in the air. And I'm old enough as well to remember the days when United had the likes of Steve Bruce and Gary Pallister. Later on, obviously, as that evolved, you had the likes of Rio Ferdinand come in, Nemanja Vidic and several others. You know, more imposing people. So why would you want to stick him in the centre of defence when you can just as easily play him at left back? Maybe try and stick Luke Shaw in the centre of the defence. Do something. At the moment, that central defence looks extremely weak. The ironic thing is, as an Arsenal fan, I remember being very frustrated missing out on him. But you know what? We spent less money for Alexander Zinchenko, and with Martinez going to Manchester United, boy, did we dodge a bullet. But it's crystal clear that he cannot play in the centre of defence. Some promise now with Eriksen in the penalty area. Looking for a penalty, nothing doing, says the referee. Still at them. And it's rather embarrassing in a way to talk about damage limitation, but unless they can conjure up a goal right now, they can't look at anything else, Manchester United. Martinez now in the centre of midfield. It almost reminds me in a way of how Nuno Tavares was found wanting at left back, but was deemed to be magnificent going down the wings when he was at Arsenal. Still in the Brentford penalty area, some promise. Looks like Dalot has the ball. All the way to Sancho. Dalot again to Sancho. to Fred in the penalty area, who tries to control it, prevents it going for a goal kick. Sancho, well, just goes to show that Sancho, without Don Quixote, is a little bit impotent. And now some poor defending and let through a possible penalty. And, oh, goodness gracious. Manchester United fans, all I can say is, I am so sorry. Everything that can possibly go wrong has gone so badly wrong, it's uncanny. A little blow of the kiss. And it all started from a foiled attack in the Brentford penalty area. And nobody was marking that man over there who got the ball on the left. Beautiful through pass through to, I think it's Tony, or is it Mbuemo rather? Everyone's in the centre of the pitch or up front. Nobody's back defending. Brilliant through ball. Finds the man here, and an easy slot past De Gea, who clearly, yep, Brian and Mbuemo there. The United defence are at 6s and 7s, Eriksen and Maguire at each other's throats. It's not a sight that you would want to see. And if any of you Manchester United fans were to turn off the TV right now, I wouldn't blame you. I really wouldn't blame you. Oh boy. So, 35 minutes gone, 35 minutes and 45 seconds gone, that is. What can Manchester United do? All I can say right now is get out your EpiPens, boys. You've been stung and stung badly. They say that bee stings are not anywhere near as poisonous as wasp stings, but boy, oh boy, oh boy, those boys need ointment. And a wonderful sight there of the Brentford fans looking at Ronaldo and Ronaldo looking at them. If you could take an image of that and, you know, just take a photo of an image of that, that would be the perfect background for a meme right now. And then with the prospect, of course, of United playing in the Conference League this season, I think, boy, they've got problems. If there's any consolation, I can, of course, tell you that as an Arsenal fan, we had a dreadful start to the season where we lost against Brentford on the opening day, and then went on to lose at home to Chelsea, and then got spanked 5-0 at the Etihad by Manchester United. We still recovered from that and were promising, and the keeper's out! Well, I have no idea what David Raya was doing coming all the way out there. He seriously did not need to do that. And Rashford's down on the pitch. And I can never understand why these goalkeepers have the need to rush out like that, because we're going to see what happens right now. So, Rashford had outrun the defender, Raya came all the way out, and no real malicious contact over there, but seriously, I cannot in any way put that down to good judgment. He was lucky. Sometimes as a defender, you've got to have faith in your defence to be able to back you up there. But that's going to add a few minutes to the clock, maybe a few more minutes for Ten Hag to make some substitutions. And it looks as though, if we're going to talk about substitutions right now, I would definitely predict that from Manchester United's side, it could very well be Martinez who could be brought off, or at the very least shifted out to playing left back, because he cannot play in the centre of defence. Maguire once again has not. Yep, time to go. Glazers out. The banners are out in full force. And of course, it does seem premature to talk about this after only 2 games in the season, but never have I ever, in my life, as a football supporter, seen a Manchester United team play as badly. Not even during the lows under, Mourinho or Solskjaer, or even Rangnick for that matter. I remember when, I'm sure all of you will remember when United got spanked by Brighton on the last day of the season gone by. You thought that was bad. 4-0 down, not even 40 minutes gone. This is a new low. And I think it's quite fair to say that maybe, just maybe, the idea of wearing that third kit was a bad one. Pretty awful. Pretty awful. Absolutely awful. Yeah. So if any of you are joining in the chat, please add the likes to this page. Hanno's Coach Corner. He has kindly asked me to help do some commentary on the watch along for today. Grateful to you, bud. Thank you very much indeed, mate. And yeah, now Brentford are back attacking. Still looking good. Well, I'd be tempted to say that Ronaldo made the most of that, but he didn't. It was a trip and it won a free kick. Shaw to Martinez. Back to Shaw. To Bruno. Ericsson. And Fred it was who lost the ball. Right, so 4 shots on target, 4 goals. Tells the whole story. United about 5 attempts, 2 shots on target, and Raya hasn't had to make a save in the Brentford goal. Could this be any more embarrassing, as Chandler Bing would say? Rashford in the penalty area, trying to find a way through. No dice. Outstanding work at the back there, and Raya can gather. Roerslev is the man. So once again, if any of you are in the chat, please add to the likes. And I'm going to speak now about any possible changes that De Gea could make. So on the bench, he does have Rafael Varane coming back in. How this fella can be put on the bench in favour of Maguire and Martinez, I seriously have no idea. Varane needs to come on, and I would definitely bring him on ahead of Martinez. At least he can have some understanding there. Malacia at left back could be an option, although Luke Shaw has been playing quite well. I don't see him coming off. Wan-Bissaka's another option. Van der Beek could also come in, and McTominay is on the bench. I think would probably provide some sort of impact would be Donny van der Beek, and another option could very well be Anthony Elanga. Those are the 2 changes I would definitely make. De Gea made an awful error, but if you had to choose between keeping him on and bringing Tom Heaton on, I think you'd much rather keep De Gea, although if he makes a mistake in the next game, Heaton could very well make an appearance in Manchester United. Brentford look good. No real changes necessary. None necessary at all, because they're not the ones who are talking about damage limitation. A shot from Bruno there, straight into the Burnley defence. Luke Shaw now. To Ericsson. To Maguire, I think. To Martinez, who has once again been dispossessed. Also caught in the face there by Tony. So they've won a free kick. Let's see how it goes. So, yeah, if any of you have any suggestions on what sort of changes can be made for United, don't hesitate to drop in the comments and tell me what you think. I understand that for some of you this won't be easy viewing, and let me say right now that as an Arsenal fan, I am not gloating right now, because good to see you joining in, and I don't know if anyone else will be joining in. So again, if you have any suggestions on changes that United can make, by all means drop them in, and we will read your suggestions out. Of course, it will be hard to see any suggestion being enough to wipe away a 4-0 deficit. And as I say that, there was a speculative shot from Bruno Fernandes, which just went over the bar. Ronaldo seems to have been choked for service. I mean, he started today and hasn't had any impact on the game whatsoever. Might be difficult to say that he's, purposely playing badly or in a disinterested manner, but it's all looking really horrible now, and maybe United will be thinking that it's better to cut their losses and get rid of him. But if you get rid of him, then what happens to the team? There is a lot of dead wood in that team. A lot of dead wood. And if I can offer United fans some advice, please be patient with Ten Hag. He's had 2 games. Yes, he's conceded 6 goals in 135 minutes. It hasn't looked all good, but you've had a bad start. Things can only get better, I'm sure. And I would like to take a look at Manchester United and see what games they have coming up next. So if there's any possibility that they can maybe salvage something out of this, I don't know. We'll have to see. No real action going on right now. It's sort of petered out in a way. And it's straight from Raya to De Gea, and we're going to see what happens now. Clearly, I think the players are struggling in the heat. It might be just as well that United aren't wearing dark colours, otherwise that really would have brought out the perspiration in them. Some head tennis going on, a basic kickabout, and 4 minutes have been added on, so probably for that stoppage from the Rashford incident and 1 or 2 others. So we're going to see if United can at least get a goal from here and go into the break thinking we can still find a way back. But it does look as though it'll be an exercise in damage limitation for them. Shaw whips one in, and it was rather awkward for De Gea, who got a hand to it, but headed straight back to him. Had a somewhat quiet afternoon so far. 3 minutes left of stoppage time, and he's just content to, be a little bit leisurely with it. Okay, a long kick forward. And a Brentford throw-in. A penny for this man's thoughts right now, Erik Ten Hag. And I suppose next time, if you've shaved your head and you have to go and play in the heat, wear a cap. We've seen people wear caps before, most notably the former Coventry City goalkeeper Steve Grizovic and 1 or 2 others. I'm pretty certain that Bruce Grobbelaar of Liverpool wore one at some time. Still in the Manchester United penalty area, and knowing that it won't be safe, they've kept it out, and I mean, there doesn't seem to be any cohesion as such from the United players. Well, Ronaldo seems to have won a free kick. We're going to see if this will add any more minutes to time in the first half. Barged right into him. You're still in England, Cristiano. You haven't left yet. And you're playing at Brentford. You're an hour down. This is how we play. So Eriksen with this free kick. Let's see if he can conjure up some magic. It's going away from Raya, but he did well to rise and catch it. That's impressive about Raya. He's not the tallest of goalkeepers, but the way he was able to judge that was quite good. I would definitely like to see him do a lot more on corners as well, because we can all agree that shorter goalkeepers, those who are just barely 6 foot tall, are at a disadvantage when it comes to crosses. I've seen 6'2" goalkeepers drop a few. Even David Seaman had a few drops during his time with Arsenal, and he was 6'4". 2 minutes of official stoppage time left, but there should be maybe a minute more added. And we are going to see if anything comes of this Brentford free kick now. Clearly, the way Brentford have been playing, they've had a lot of cohesion. They know how to work the ball, and they've been able to press Manchester United quite well. And this looks definitely very dangerous. A necessary intervention from Bruno Fernandes, who is apoplectic right now at his back four. There just doesn't seem to be any leadership right now in United. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, Maguire's supposed to be the captain in name, but nobody's shouting for the ball. Nobody's trying to go for it. Even Bruno boils hot and cold every now and then. And to think that I predicted a 2-1 win for Manchester United. Now, if there's one more bit of inspiration, and the half-time whistle has indeed blown, and Ten Hag has whipped away, gone straight to the dressing room. He will be waiting for his boys to give them an absolute rollicking, I would say. First up for Cristiano Ronaldo, he looks as glum can be, because his team are up a gum tree. Not a happy return to Brentford for Christian Eriksen. He wanders down the tunnel, and we go into the break. So I will be waiting for Hanno to join me soon, but if I could also offer another bit of consolation, of course it will be 30 years since the Premier League made its debut. And I also remember that first season because Arsenal finished below Tottenham that season and actually suffered a home defeat to them on the last day at Highbury, but ended up winning both domestic cups, the League Cup and the FA Cup, beating Sheffield Wednesday in the process. So any Al fans who have joined the chat, who are watching this, I do apologise. That season, of course, saw Manchester United start things off with a 2-1 defeat to Sheffield United at Bramall Lane, Brian Deane scoring the first goal that day. And they followed that up with a 3-0 home defeat at Old Trafford to an Everton side managed by Howard Kendall, and which had players of the calibre of Neville Southall and Peter Beardsley playing for them. So they had 2 defeats where they only scored 1 goal. The next game they drew 1-1 at home to Ipswich Town, but then broke their duck with a victory over Southampton at the then Dell. That was before they moved to the St Mary's Stadium. So it just goes to show that you can have a bad start and still go on to win. And 30 years ago, I realised that was a long time ago, and it is fair to say that the players in the Manchester United team that day were of a different calibre then. Certainly the manager was of a much different calibre. And I think a lot of Manchester United fans will agree that if you were to put this team up against that 92-93 vintage with Brian Robson, Steve Bruce, and Al in their pomp, if you will, this current team would get smoked. David De Gea is not a patch on Peter Schmeichel. But there is hope, and as long as you've only played 2 games, you have to be hopeful, you have to be a little bit positive. And of course, there are 45 minutes to go in this game, so again, anything can happen. Things have happened. But the way Brentford have been playing, the spirit they've shown, they've so far scored 6 goals in their first 2 games, and I've got my telly on mute right now, but I can just hear the Bees fans chanting, "Can we play you every week?" What a cheap shot. So they've shown a lot of resolve to come back to draw 2-2 at the against the Foxes at the King Power Stadium. And now, of course, they're 4-0 ahead against what must be said is an absolutely disjointed Manchester United side. So it looks really awful. It looks absolutely awful. And I seriously don't know what Manchester United can do, but with Brentford showing that same spirit, things are looking quite good for them. And let's not get carried away talking about them possibly challenging for Europe. Remember, it's the second game week. So, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the highlights of some of the earlier games. I remember watching Arsenal against Leicester City. Leicester also have shown a little bit of spirit as well, and certainly the way they were able to, press Arsenal and come back was quite impressive. And talk about how this Arsenal team under Mikel Arteta just cannot seem to manage games properly. You think that after taking a lead, they'd be able to, see it out. The most important thing is being able to keep your foot on the jugular. For the most part, Arsenal probably failed to do that. They allowed them to score. But it's wonderful to see that in Jesus and Martinelli, Arsenal have 2 good quality strikers who can definitely play. I definitely see them being the starting strikers, with Bukayo Saka coming in either as a right inside forward or a right winger, maybe if you want to play a 4-4-2. If you want 3 up front, Saka comes in. And that means Eddie Nketiah does come on. So it's funny, really, to think that we gave that fella the number 14 jersey and a new contract worth 100,000 quid every week for 5 years. Will he get enough minutes? Will he be able to impose himself? Will he be able to score and do that ridiculous phone celebration? Of course, he has Jesus doing that for him. Leicester do have a lot of spirit, and I do like the Foxes. And they should definitely comfortably finish in the top half of the table this season, based on what I've seen from them. It looks as though the move for Tielemans to come to Arsenal might not really happen because, Granit Xhaka was able to, outshine him today. But once again, Ben White looks very weak on that right side of defence. He's only there, of course, because Takahiro Tomiyasu isn't fit. And until recently, we still have Hector Bellerin, our sometime captain here, although his contract has been terminated. Cedric Suarez is still an option, although deemed to be not good enough in some respects. So if Tomiyasu's fit, he'll probably end up displacing Ben White, because Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes both look really good. That own goal for Saliba was very, very, very unfortunate. Maybe a stronger header could have pushed it away. You just don't know. But second Premiership game, he's now experienced that low. And the most important thing, though, is that Arsenal ended up winning, so he's a happy chappy. And I'm glad he's back. He never should have had the number 4 jersey taken away from him and given to Ben White in the first place, but maybe all's forgiven? I don't know. And as for Aston Villa and Everton, Villa have now somewhat recovered. And as I said before, Tyrone Mings, seeming to patch things up with Gerrard and being back to his old self for now, looks pretty good again. Everton still have some problems, but they do have some spirit. 2 defeats, but only 3 goals conceded. They do look strong defensively with the acquisition of James Tarkowski and Connor Cody on loan. I was a bit surprised to see Cody leave Wolves because he was practically their lifeblood, if you will. But showing some highlights of the goals on the telly, and if you're a Manchester United fan, again, it is ugly viewing. I think Ten Hag will replay those goals and literally make sure he reads them the right way. What Eriksen was doing back there, I have no idea. I will never know. I mean, it's we often say that that Brentford would be all over Manchester United like a bad rash, and you know that if you get stung often enough, you will have an awful rash. Oh boy. Yeah. So we're seeing some comments right now on the BBC Sport website. Anon says, how long do we continue up Harry Maguire? He's not just missing his confidence, he also doesn't have the consistency to produce for a club for whom trophies is a must. And if there's any consolation, I'm pretty certain, according to Jonathan, that Ten Hag won't beat De Boer's record at Palace of 4 straight defeats. And now we seem to have a negative verdict of Ten Hag, which says, the team selection basically told me that Ten Hag isn't up to the job. He should have done some research before his job interview and watched these players play last season. You cannot almost pick the same team after Sunday. Well, to be fair, it wasn't almost the same team. He did drop Scott McTominay. But it looks as though Fred and Lisandro Martinez should be primed for the job. And it looks as though we have indeed dodged a bullet with Lisandro Martinez. It was probably good that we didn't go for him. We would have spent more for him than we would have spent for Alexander Zinchenko. Hallelujah. And the 4th goal, not happy viewing, straight from a Manchester United attack, and I'm not going to describe that. Right. So, yep. Throw money at the situation and hope your problems melt away, the typical approach of modern-day football. 40 or 50 years ago, British talent and coaching was sufficient for Manchester United, City, Liverpool and Forest to win European trophies. Now, from the team's first-team regulars, you couldn't even pick an England side. Not from those 4. There is one person who's being selected regularly, and even that is in question. As I've said, Brighton under Graham Potter looking very solid indeed. There has been some talk among Arsenal fans of Graham Potter possibly coming over to Arsenal to replace Mikel Arteta if the season doesn't go according to plan. And yeah, good to see you in 5 minutes. There is some talk, as I've said, of Graham Potter possibly joining Arsenal. He certainly seems to be tactically spot on. And even after the loss of Marc Cucurella to Chelsea, he's got the team playing as a cohesive unit. And even someone like Tariq Lamptey, who is on the bench ahead of someone like it's actually Veltman who plays ahead of Lamptey at the back in a back three. Joel Veltman who plays in the back three. But if you can have Tariq Lamptey come on and be a threat down the right, it's always an asset. And any other day he'd be a starter. And of course the ex-United and Arsenal forward Danny Welbeck right up front, Christian Gross and Pascal Gross rather, and Adam Lallana, Leandro Trossard. You've got a very fluent attack there, and things are looking good for them. And Newcastle, as I've said, should be a rather solid team. It looks as though Matt Targett has had an injury, which means that he wasn't in the starting lineup today. His place being taken by Dan Burn. And they also looked solid in the 4-3-3. They certainly had a lot of defensive work to do today. And of course, it's interesting to see that earlier comment about how you couldn't form an England team from those top 4 English teams. You've got Kieran Trippier, who's enjoying a new lease of life at Newcastle United, playing well and enjoying himself. Joe Willock had a start today. Interesting to see how he did. I'll probably have to, watch the highlights of that later on. No real comment about City and Bournemouth, but Bournemouth have shown some spirit. But they were always going to be under threat. And Nathan Ake, of course, leading proceedings against his former club, just goes to show how dominant they were. 8 touches in all for Haaland, the fewest of any player, but he still had a standing ovation. So even when he isn't performing too well, City are going to be very hard to stop. And they've had 2 impressive wins, no goals conceded, 2 clean sheets for Ederson. But it's hard to see them being stopped unless they either have a terrible day or unless one team really, plays out of their skin. It has been done before, though. They have been beaten. And I still think that I still have Liverpool winning the Premiership right now. I think that they will recover from that slow start and get to their stride fairly quickly. They, of course, play Crystal Palace on Monday. So, struggles over there. Southampton and Leeds was an interesting one. I had Leeds to go down, but they've really, really impressed me. I had Southampton to be in a relegation dogfight. They were ripped apart by Tottenham Hotspur on the opening in the first game week, but they've seemed to have recovered quite well. And the thing about Hasenhüttl is that he gets his team playing as a cohesive unit, and they do seem to play well for one another. And Ward-Prowse does seem to be key. And I've been interrupted in the stream by Hanno. Good to see you. Thanks a lot for coming back. Hanno, can you hear me? Looks as though we've lost him, but I'm sure he'll come back. So Southampton have definitely shown a lot of good spirit right now and have recovered fairly well from the from that opening week defeat. And there was some suggestion that Hasenhüttl had lost some members of the dressing room and was under pressure to save his job. But he made some good introductions off the bench: Armstrong, Joe Aribo, and Mara. And off the bench he was able to bring off those players, and they ended up, having that effect. It was Siko Mara who came off the bench along with Aribo and Armstrong, and that triple substitution proved to work quite well. And so we're back at the stadium. It looks as though he has made some changes, definitely shoring up the defence. So it's Raphael Varane who's coming on for Luke Shaw. Malacia, the left back, who is also coming on. And McTominay has also come on. So it looks as though Fred might be the one off. And Varane replaces Lisandro Martinez. So 2 defensive changes, 1 change to the midfield. It's rather sad to talk of damage limitation, but this is where we are right now. And of course, I was talking about Wolves and Fulham and the way Wolves have been able to, recover quite well. Both teams putting up some good resistance. And so we're back at the Brentford Stadium right now for the start of the second half. Hopefully we should have Hanno joining us now. And so Brentford kickoff. Hoofed out by Raya all the way to... it's a Brentford throw-in right now. So no changes made by Thomas Frank. Doesn't need to make any changes. Omar Henry there, who unselfishly hands it off to Ben Mee. And it looks as though there could be more substitutes coming in, so we will see how that works. But for now, though, it's defensive duties for Manchester United. McTominay getting stuck in immediately and seeing it through. Danger still not over. And it's Diego Dalot. Diego Dalot right now has to clear that. Right, so confirmation of the subs. Malacia, Varane and McTominay, who have come on in place of Lisandro Martinez, Luke Shaw, and I think Fred has also got this. And you can also, if you're following online or on Twitter, use the capital letter BREMUN hashtag and just enjoy the match. So, in the Brentford penalty area, hoofed all the way out. Still not so much in terms of change as of yet, but it will be interesting to see what happens. And he does not look happy, does Martinez. A very chastening debut. Looked all at sea. And the idea of pitting him up against, the more muscular Brentford attackers like Tony and De Silva, it wasn't a very good move. And Ten Hag really should have known better. But in the centre of midfield, it was McTominay who passes it to Dalot. Sancho has it now, trying to weave something through the right, through the legs, but not through the defence. Still in the half, but now kicked away. And we will... Ooh! And Varane comes straight to the action. And I would definitely see Raphael Varane getting some more minutes for Manchester United as the season goes on. I think it's fair to say that if Martinez does come into the team, it probably will be as a midfield option, because I'm sure that United fans will agree with me that the sight of seeing Fred and McTominay playing week after week will not be appealing at all. Hanno, good to see you. How are you, bud? Yeah, you're on mute. Unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Yeah, United in the mud. Lovely, lovely to see.
Yeah.
And they're doing it in that awful kit. They were absolutely awful kit. Yeah.
So
Brentford, Munich.
All those B teams have stung Manchester United so far. Yeah. Swarmed all over them, leaving them with bad rap.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, thanks a lot for joining in. And I don't know if you were able to catch some of the insights I had. They've taken off Lisandro Martinez, and it's crystal clear that at 5'6", he cannot play as a central defender. So, in your opinion, do you think he could possibly be switched to playing as a left back or maybe as a central defensive midfielder?
Well, probably central defensive midfielder. That's probably the only option. It has to be, because anywhere else, defender is like this comment says from JPT, aka the At a Time podcast. It's a little kid. I know.
Yeah.
Oh. No way.
So these were the chats from the first 45 minutes, and you could see that our friend, the Out of Time podcast, was not happy. Not happy at all.
Okay.
I hope
No,
he's
no,
still.
no. No, he is very much happy because he is a Chelsea fan, but I think
Yeah.
so.
And there was some action in the Brentford half, save from David De Gea, and blasted over. So he had an awful first half by all accounts, De Gea. That awful mistake for that opening goal from De Silva was one which he would want to forget. Routine stop for him at his near post using his feet. No goalkeeper likes to be beaten at his near post. Covered it well. But yeah, so you were saying about Lissandra?
Yeah, so uh, centre back it's like a little kid. I
Yeah,
know Jules Koundé, even Reece James is that same height, but at least they like more muscular. They stronger build than him. If you and so that's the thing. He's not. He hasn't got that muscle.
yeah.
You need to be like Chelsea for United, and it's
Yeah, so we had a
not.
header over there, and it was Ronaldo who had the header. 15 minutes gone, just wide. Not just wide, but at least it was an
Well,
attempt. Yeah. So you were
yeah,
saying that Koundé was more muscular as a defender?
yeah. Even Reece James, they almost the same height. They more muscular than him. So
Yeah.
definitely, and I would play maybe City in, but the problem is Ten Hag already said it in his Ajax days. Because he doesn't have the stamina and the speed to play that position, and that's two of the key things you need um, to play that position. Unless you have the class of Jorginho, unless you have that, and you can't play CDM. So yeah,
That's true. It's also fair to say that for Argentina, Martinez normally plays as a defender. So how he's able to achieve success with that Argentinian team, winning the Copa America and the Finalissima against the Azzurri, I mean, it's amazing. It's probably just a tribute to how well his teammates can cover for him. And I think it's fair to say as well that international football and Latin American football, chalk and cheese, another attempt from Ronaldo, a header over the bar, and now at least he's getting into the game. And I was mentioning how in the first half he was choked for supply. At least now he seems to be getting into his stride. Crosses are finding him. He will score. I do not believe United will win, but at least if he scores, at least it'll be something to take away from this
yeah, definitely. But Ilya says Liverpool are winning the quadruple. No, they're not. They're not. What did they play? No, they still need to play. So yeah.
game. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that Ilias was waiting for you to come on. He didn't like the look of my face or the sound of my voice.
No.
Right. So it's interesting how you talk about those physical requirements. I see that you're a rugby fan. Obviously, you've got the Springbok jersey on, and
Yeah,
I
we
know that
lost,
you'll
but
be. Yeah.
we lost, but it's all good. It's all good.
Oh, you lost to the All Blacks.
Yeah, we lost.
Hmm.
Horrible tactics. Horrible. Um, the tactics of last week was definitely the head coach at, were part of the 19 World Cup, aka Erasmus. That was his tactics. This week's tactics, you can say, it's Jocelyn Nobles' tactics. And we absolutely got obliterated.
Right, right,
When
right,
when your when your starting winger is injured and your backup winger is injured, you don't you don't do the kicking game of the nine.
right,
It's common. It's knowledge. It's common logic. So yeah, that's
right.
what's happened. We kicked the whole game, but yeah,
Yeah, but I still think the Springboks should be favourites for the tournament, and you certainly do look strong enough, especially the way you're able to, win against Wales. I know that Wales aren't exactly the team that they used to be. Alan Wynne-Jones is getting on, and even Bigger had some issues when he was captaining the team. not that much of cohesion and leadership, but you should be fine. But talking about rugby as well, you have these physical requirements for different positions. You take a look at the lock position, for instance. I was privileged to have seen Victor Matfield play in that position for so many years. And if you want to be a lock, my goodness, you've got to be an absolute beast of a man. 6'6" or taller. That's the only way you can make that position. And if you're a scrum half like Joost van der Westhuizen, although he was a lot taller, you can be as short as 5'7" and do well there. But unless you're 6'6" or taller, you cannot be a lock. That second row forward, that is.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And yeah, we have two of the best, or if not the best, locks in the world. If you look, we got Eben Etzebeth, absolute tank. He's and Lydia, the other absolute beast. He every time he puts his heart out, they and yeah,
And of
we
course, go ahead.
and alongside France, we are the favorites. France, they're the big fish. If they turn up, it's going to be hard to stop them. But hopefully, hopefully they don't turn up. They do a Tottenham and choke and bottle it. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, last season we bottled it even worse than they did. So I mean, I'm not one to throw stones from my glass house. And it's also wonderful to see that the age of New Zealand dominance is slowly but surely, disappearing. Because before Sia Khaleesi's boys won that tournament, they had been champions for the last 2 or 3 editions. I think 2, in fact, if I'm not wrong. Richie McCaw lifted the trophy on both occasions. But now it looks as though South Africa are the real team to beat right now. And if you can secure a victory against the Springboks, you will have worked hard for that win. You won't get it handed to you very easily. And the Brentford corner, some defensive work for Malasia.
Definitely.
Right. So once again, the substitute, at least you get the feeling that if Ten Hag had started with Varane at the back instead of Martinez, you wouldn't have this issue. How can you possibly have a World Cup winning defender on the bench in favour of Lisandro Martinez, who's much shorter?
Ask Erik Ten Hag. Mr. Bolded corner and cleared for another corner. Christian Eriksen doing some defensive work there. So
yeah, we have a Chelsea fan coming in, gloating right now. Manchester United. We'll see how you do tomorrow. I mean, you scraped a 1-0 win last week. Let's see how you do this week. As you can see, I'm not a big fan of gloating or schadenfreude. Okay. Right, so it looks as though Hanno has disappeared, but he will be coming back. We have a Brentford corner. It will be Brian Mbuemo with his left foot who'll be taking it. Or actually, it's Jensen who's taking it. Curl it into the area, but cleared. And you can see that defensive solidity has arrived right now with the substitutions. You just you really have to question Ten Hag's wisdom, but all he can do now is just try and limit the damage. If he can at least score a goal or two, the boys can at least go home with a smidgen of respect. But if you're going up against the Brentford team with the likes of Josh Da Silva, Brian Mbuemo, Ivan Toney, big muscular people, you've got to be able to muscle them off the ball, and they failed to do that. And Rashford so far has had a bit of a quiet game. What do you think of Ten Hag's decision to give Rashford another chance?
It's definitely interesting. It's a bold choice, but we will see if it pays off. Oh, penalty here? Is it a pen? No. Malasia wants just showing everyone up. It's definitely an interesting choice. We will see if it pays off, but so far in these two games, it doesn't look like it's paying off. Of he hasn't didn't do much in the first game, and
Yeah,
now today he isn't also doing good. Sancho off, Elanga on for Manchester United.
yeah.
30
I
minutes
predict
each
the same.
remain.
So this is good. I mean, now we're actually at the same time. I was worried that, normally what happens in a watch along is that I'm somewhat ahead of people, so I can't do watch alongs with them. But with you and I, it's amazing. We're at the same time, so there's no question of spoilers. And now it looks as though the Brentford boys are going to just do some warming up. They could make their substitutions. United have made 4 already. So thanks for that answer about Rashford. And there has of course, been some interest from Paris Saint-Germain in him. Obviously, they look at his performances with England and what he's done with them. Um, if they decide to pay that much money for him and take him off United's hands, who do you think could possibly come in for him? Because when it comes to striking options, you seem to be rather thin on the ground at the moment.
Um, Striking options for Chelsea. If we had to, it's not an option for me personally. I would rather um, have someone like what what's what's his face no, I can't remember his name, but I would for striking options he's not the one I want personally because I know he's got a speed and everything, but for me I think he's a counter-attacking player, so he wouldn't fit in with Chelsea, and
Yeah,
yeah. So, but
yeah,
for striking options, Harvey Barnes, I would take him maybe. Um, he's a
yeah.
good player. Bowen, that's a player I was looking for. Bowen, I would take him also.
Yeah, so we have a change for Brentford. Josh De Silva has come off, and it looks as though he's been replaced by Vitaly Janelt, number 27. So some fresh legs being brought on. And I mean, obviously at Chelsea, I don't. There's been some talk about you guys possibly getting Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang from Barcelona, and we could talk all day about that, but I don't really want to. I was just worried that if United decide to sell Rashford, their striking options will be very thin now because they'll end up with Sancho and Ronaldo, and one of them clearly doesn't want to be there. So it's fair to say that their transfer window dealings have been atrocious, really. Absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, the transfer stuff is atrocious, mate. Atrocious. And I can't believe why what they're trying to do. And even I know reports are saying Frankie de Jong has in the last few hours opened up to a move to United, but he says it most likely will be completed um, in on at the end of the window. But
Mm.
if Chelsea really want to, they can get De Jong. If Tuchel really wants De Jong, just can absolutely get him. So yeah, uh, it's for me. I just think it's a matter of time, uh,
Yeah,
and before
right. And
before
so Chelsea, I
United
think, will be
get ruined,
right. And Chelsea will be playing
before they
tomorrow.
go down.
Yeah, and Chelsea will be playing tomorrow, I think. So, what are your hopes for that game? How do you think they'll do?
Nah, mate, easy one, easy that. You, it's an easy game. We play against a top 14. Um, it's going to be easy because we Tottenham never wins at Stamford Bridge. I'm just joking. It won't be easy. It won't be easy. It's going to be a tough one. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's definitely going to be tough. And It might, maybe, but I still think Chelsea will get a win because you look at our defense. No matter how good your attack is, um, Chelsea's defense will always hold out. Like I
Right.
said to Chelsea fan on Instagram,
Hmm.
Tottenham never won at Stamford Bridge, and we have the two of the best centre backs in the league in Thiago Silva and Koulibaly. So yeah, but I want to ask you, there's a question. So I went on the Tottenham fans channel, and he said Romero is in the top three defenders currently in the league. Do you agree with that point?
Romero.
Yeah, Romero, top
Um,
three.
you mean currently right now? I'm not too sure, to be honest. I mean, I like my defenders definitely to be a lot more, muscular and also a lot more decisive. And uh, I wouldn't necessarily place him in the top in that top echelon, but he could be there or thereabouts. So no, not really.
Yeah, and I was like top three. So we were getting out, and he said Thiago Silva, and I was in shock. I was in shock. He said Thiago Silva not in the top three defenders in the league right now. I was shocked. So,
Yeah. So so this
so
Chelsea fan, is he one of your moderators?
yeah, he's a mod. Josephine is a mod. Yeah.
Okay, good to see you. And yeah. So interesting how you say that you've got two good defenders after losing Andreas Christensen and Antonio Rudiger. You seem to have
Wait. Who's
you haven't
Andreas
really lost
Christensen?
that much, huh?
Who's Andreas Christensen? I only know Christina.
No, I said obviously
Yeah,
Antonio Rudiger gone to Manchester United, and I think Christensen has also gone, hasn't he?
yeah, but I only know Christina. I don't know Christensen. Who's that?
Andreas Christensen. He wore the number 4 jersey for
Yeah,
you
yeah,
guys.
yeah. Nah, there's a joke in the Chelsea community, where we don't say Andreas Christensen, we say Christina. It's
Oh,
because like he complained 3 times about him having a stomach ache, and if we did, we they came up with Andres or just Christina, and it's a water break here. It seems like.
yeah, it is a
Right?
water break, and I think it seems as though they're going to have one water break in every half. And a statistic has been shown: Manchester United about 87% of possession. So they've had the ball, but they've not done very much with it. And obviously, Ronaldo now getting into the game, he's been sort of muscled away. And I mean, I don't know if you got to see any of the highlights. I mean, the best action took place in the first half, and it was a case of Murphy's Law being repeated. Anything that can go wrong does go wrong, and it happened four
Yeah,
times.
yeah, it did. It did. It was funny to see them lot cry, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But the action happened. But I think it's still one more goal in this half. Thomas Frank, they having the tactical board out. But I think both there is a goal. I don't know who, but I think I'm going with a Brentford goal again. But man like Orest, I hope he's back next week. I want him back. The man said Manchester United fourth ahead of us. I want him. I want to slaughter him. He said Lissandro Martinez is going to boss it.
So you want to see that same team being played again next week? I don't think Ten Hag will be that silly.
No. I just want to rest on. I want to slaughter him. I want to. I want to see him suffer. He said, man said Chelsea. Chelsea not in the top 4. He said Chelsea 5th or 6th, I can't remember. He said United top 4. United top 4, mate. No chance.
Okay, so just taking a look at Manchester United's upcoming fixtures. On the 22nd of August, they've got to play against Liverpool at Old Trafford, and I believe they're planning a fan walkout. I don't think you're going to see too many United fans over there. They've also got to travel to St Mary's to play Southampton. They travel to the King Power Stadium to play Leicester City. They have a home game against my Arsenal team, and then on the 11th of September, away to Crystal Palace, and on the 18th, home to Manchester United. So the sad part is, Hanno, I'll share the screen with you. I'll share the screen. Give me a minute.
Yeah. Oh, United Liverpool Monday night. Oh, it's going to be tasty. Okay.
Right. So, go ahead.
No, just fixture screen.
Yeah. So these are the fixtures in September, yeah?
Okay.
Can you see it now?
Wait. Let me just add it. So, September. Yeah. Okay. September fixtures.
These are the
Thursday first. So they face Leicester City. Then they face Arsenal. Then they face Crystal Palace, and they face Leeds. So
yeah, that's in September.
It's going to, and then they face City on the 20th. Oh no, that's the first.
Yeah. First. And in these remaining games in August against Liverpool and Southampton. So aside from maybe Southampton and perhaps Leeds, it's very difficult to see United even getting a win. And already they look to be a club in disarray, a club in crisis. We see Malacia down the left just trying to make something happen. He's passed it to Eriksen. Hold on a minute. Yeah. Now they've switched to the right, trying to not do so much in terms of probing. McTominay, Ronaldo, Malacia, Ronaldo, Malacia again. Looks like it's Rashford there to Eriksen. Oh, and that could have been promising, but cold feet from the United attackers. And De Gea now comes up. So, I'm sorry, Hanno, but all of the best action in this game was in the first half. I'm really sorry that you weren't here to commentate on this with me, but I'm sure you would have enjoyed it. And a speculative shot from outside the area is that man Ronaldo sulking, the poor boy. I bet he wishes he weren't at the club right now.
Yeah, I'm going to be back in a few minutes.
All right, take your time, son. And there's going to be a second change from Brentford. Bryan Mbeumo, also impressive in the build-up to two of Brentford's goals, will be going off, I think. And and also Matthias Jensen will be coming off too. We will see who they will be replaced by. So it's Johan Visser and Shandon Baptiste who are coming on. Yeah, Visser's come on for Mbeumo and Baptiste is coming on for Jensen. Both of those two boys were outstanding today. 73 minutes gone, still no sign of a goal from Manchester United, and it looks as though damage limitation has now been the aim of the second half, and that has been achieved. And it's hard to see them finding a way back from here, to be honest. Some more head tennis going on, and oh my goodness. Something of an attack now. Maybe they could score a goal here. Rashford controlling it nicely. We'll see what he's made of. To Ronaldo. McTominay was coming in on the right. To Rashford again. Malacia now. Let's see if he can do something with this. To Fernandez. Malacia. Can't whip in across. Being covered well. Back to Fernandez again. Whips one in. Little too high. And that should be a Manchester United corner. Good defensive work from Rico Henry there. All wearing... We'll see what this corner brings us. All for nothing, which is what I call that ridiculous documentary about Arsenal's previous season. They called it all or nothing. For me, it's all for nothing, because we didn't get into the Champions League. But still some attempts from United to try to get something out of the game. I think they need at least a goal to for their fans to take home. It's not going to be enough, but it will be something. And the prospect of them ending up with 2 games played, 6 goals conceded, and only 1 goal scored will not be good for them, let me tell you now. 15 minutes left, there will be some stoppages. It's hard to see. I mean, it's fair to say that United's chances of winning are now gone. I definitely don't see them getting a draw, but if they can score a goal or 2, that would be good. Things were as bad as they could have gotten in that first half, and to their credit, they didn't get any worse, but they're going to look back on this game as an absolute humiliation and say, you know what, we cannot go any lower than this. But you've just seen United's next few matches, the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, a spirited Leicester team, a well-drilled Crystal Palace team, and then, of course, Southampton and Leeds, who, of course, played today and had a 2-2 draw. It's hard to see United doing anything. And, I mean, maybe against Southampton they could pick up a result. But stranger things happen. Stranger things have happened. And so all I can say to United fans, if you're watching this, is please don't lose hope. I'm sure Ten Hag will get better. Because I do remember, of course, when Alex Ferguson joined Manchester United, he had to just save the club from relegation, and then started to work his magic, getting rid of a few players who weren't quite up to standards. And it was a process that got rewarded. But, and of course, when it got rewarded, it was rewarded handsomely, because he was able to buy, develop the best players and also buy the best players. As well as the likes of Ryan Giggs played that season, Eric Cantona was the man who really had the impact. A Brentford free kick now. They've been relentless, they've been outstanding, and it's hard, again, they're full value for this win, and they've been really well drilled today. And I don't know if it would necessarily put Arsenal's opening day loss to Brentford last season in perspective, but you know, it just goes to show that when you come up against these teams who were built on, who don't necessarily play attractive football, but who are very old school in their, you know, in the approach, the way they play their game, you know, you can't take anything for granted. And they didn't even need to bring on the Danish international Damsgaard, Mikael Damsgaard. He was the one, of course, who scored that peach of a free kick against England in Euro 2020, and that could very nearly have won it for them, only for the game to go into extra time, and of course Harry Kane slotted home that penalty. So another change from Brentford. I think it's definitely not Damsgaard. It looks like someone else who might be coming on for the last 12 minutes or so. And once again, United are pinned in their own half. McTominay trying to make something happen and only ends up conceding a throw-in. And it's been a frustrating day for him. His fellow Scotsman Hickey has had a day to remember. Oh, man. And of course, there's another stoppage. I really don't know what's going on. Yes, it does look as though there's going to be a substitution. Burnley's final 2 for the day. And we're going to see who's coming off right now. Right, so there are a couple of substitutions, Hanno. for Brentford, and we will see who's coming off. It looks as though Christian Norgard is going off, as is Aaron Hickey, and they will be replaced by Mad Beck Sorensen, Frank Onyeka. So these are the two substitutions that have come on for Brentford. I think that might be Brentford's 5. I don't know, or there may be another one. Yeah, that is Brentford's 5. They've made all of their 5 substitutions, and United have made 4 so far, so they can bring in another one. And another speculative shot from outside the area, well held by De Gea. And so it's hard to think that De Gea will be dropped after that horrible first half, but another sign of crisis is that they only have David De Gea and Tom Heaton as their goalkeepers. That puts into perspective the very poor homework that the club did over the summer. And I really can't see any other club being so lackadaisical in their approach. Chelsea have had a good window. They sold quite a few players, but also brought in a few and brought wisely. What do you think of Raheem Sterling? How has he settled into the team?
Yeah, yes, for the good from the stream, but
possible goal from
into the team. But it still needs to, I think, adapt to the tactics. I think that's a big problem. But Tuchel, he needs to play a bit more attacking, just a little bit, just at 5% more attacking. That's.
Yeah. What about Marc Cucurella, who came from Brighton?
Excellent play, excellent. We saw his impact he had, and when he came onto the pitch versus Everton. Yeah, that's a team. So yeah, he has had a big impact. So yeah.
So Onyeka won a free kick, and it looks like McTominay is the man who's gone to the book. And there's still no respite for Manchester United, so at least they've limited the damage to some extent, and De Gea's looked a lot more solid. But everything that could have gone wrong in that first half went absolutely wrong. And I think it's fair to say that even for a team of Manchester United's history, there was simply no going back from them. And now it's just damage limitation. So, almost every other big team with serious aspirations for going for the league or competing in Europe have made some good signings. And it looks like Donny van der Beek will be coming on. He will be United's final substitution. There's been some talk about him not being quite up to the mark, not being able to cut the mustard. But now he's being thrown on with an attempt to maybe create something and score a goal. The way Brentford have nullified United's attacking threats, whether it's from Eriksen or Ronaldo or from whoever, has been just outstanding. They've been solid, watertight at the back. They've broken forward on the counter magnificently, and they're good value. And their poor transfer window has come back to haunt them, seriously.
Yeah, it has, and it's currently just helping the Brentford player at this stage. So yeah, what do I want to do? Okay, so yeah, Chelsea fans is Liverpool will beat them next week. Club this lol.
Of course, Liverpool.
Imagine if Liverpool lost. If Liverpool lost. Oh my days, it would be so funny.
Yeah. But again, funny things can happen.
Yeah, but what's better, seeing United fans meltdown or Liverpool fans meltdown? Which one is better?
What was your question?
What's better, Liverpool fans melting down or United fans?
I still couldn't understand the question. What was that? Sorry. What was better?
Okay, what's better, seeing Liverpool fans and melting down after a loss, or
Melting down.
United fans? Or
Um,
United fans?
I can't tell which one, to be honest. I mean, a possible goal there, another corner conceded by United, and they're still looking to sting United. So to answer your question, it probably would be. I don't know, Hanno. I don't do Schadenfreude very well. I mean, I don't necessarily take too much satisfaction. Out of Liverpool and Manchester United, I would have to top save that by De Gea from out of nothing. I mean, another shot at goal. De Gea has literally been the reason why United haven't conceded any goals in this half. So yeah, to answer your question, it would probably be seeing United fans melt down. I mean, because obviously they have the Premiership history and they have the they seem to be living off past glories. And a speculative shot from Ronaldo straight into the hands of David Raya there. 5 minutes to go, and still no sign of anything really happening. So I hope that answers your question. Seeing United fans melt down is probably more satisfying.
Fair enough. Just want to change this thing. Wait, let's make this. No,
Do we have someone else joining in?
no, I want that new comments thing to.
Oh, so you want to have more comments coming in. Good.
No, the new comments thing on the right hand side. I want to take that off.
Yeah.
But I don't even know how I got it on.
Right. Okay, so something there in the Brentford penalty area. Rashford trying to make something happen. Fernandez now with a speculative attempt blocked. Maguire now to let go by Dalot to Fernandez.
Maybe I will keep it like
Dalot,
this. This looks good. Then I don't have to press on them. Yeah, I'll keep it. Then
Bye, Chelsea fan. Good to see you.
Bye, Chelsea fan. Yeah.
Right, so
United crossing. Oh.
yeah, and now Van de Beek is belatedly being brought on. I thought he was going to be brought on earlier. And Eriksen's come off. No standing ovation for him. Oh yeah, there is a standing ovation from some of the Brentford fans who remember him, but it's been a day to forget for him. And there's always been some talk about how, with his heart issues, that he might have to have his game time limited because he actually plays with a defibrillator installed inserted into his body. So I really don't want to have a repeat of what happened at Euro 2020 when, for quite a few minutes he literally had been lost and had been brought back. So hopefully that won't happen again. And maybe United buying him was a bit of a risk. What do you think?
I wouldn't say so. I think they needed another cam to play in front of Bruno, and they got him. So it may be a risk, but I don't think it's that big of a risk. I can take this off. So I'm watching it on the phone, so I can take the glasses off.
Yeah. But, I mean, the fact that he has to wear a defibrillator will be of some concern. And, that's probably one of the reasons why, aside from Manchester United, I didn't see any team really interested in him. And now it's a booking for Marcus Rashford. Another sad post note to a terrible day for them. And, it's really hard to see them, really recovering and recouping immediately after this. It's going to take a lot of time. And the sad part is they don't even have an international window to provide them any comfort because next week they'll be playing on the 22nd. That is a Monday night game. And so,
Yeah.
So whatever Ten Hag does, he's going to have to really find a way to work it. But I think it's fair to say that now that he has this 11 on the field, he sticks with this 11. No Martinez, and Martinez should never ever play at centre back. No.
Yeah, he shouldn't. He shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what he does with Martinez.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But here's the thing. If they were blown away by Brentford today, I really don't see them having much of a prayer against Salah, Nunes and company. And I can tell you right now that the likes of Jordan Henderson and Fabinho and others, they'll be licking their lips at the prospect of playing this United team right now. We could be set for a cricket score at Old Trafford.
Yeah, potentially that's maybe true. Maybe a 5-0, maybe a 6-0, but I don't think Liverpool are that up to stretch. Honestly, I think it might be just like a 3-0 scoreline, or maybe a 2-0. I don't think Liverpool will absolutely obliterate them with the scoreline. Just think they will have an easy game, personally. So yeah.
So we've got 4 minutes of time, 4 minutes for United to score at least one goal. Ronaldo is now in the centre of the pitch trying something. Let's see what he can do. The man marking of Brentford has been outstanding, and they've given away a throw-in.
Yeah,
Typical of their day.
Yeah, 4 minutes added on to the half.
It's like you can tell that the United players have pretty much not done their homework when it comes to being able to mark certain players out the game and try and get into the better positions. But Brentford have played outstandingly well, and I just think it's fair to say that when it comes to teams like Manchester United, because of their history, any team which plays against them will always be motivated to try and beat them and do as well as they can. But and the way United look right now in such disarray, I actually think that the likes of Southampton and even Leeds could, get something away from that. So I remember drawing some parallels between this and the very first Premier League season in 1992 and 93. And I remember that season fairly well. United started off with a 2-1 defeat to Sheffield United at Bramall Lane and lost 3-0 at home to Everton and drew 1-1 with Ipswich. So at the end of their first 3 games, their record was played 3, lost 1-0, none, drawn 1, lost 2, scored 2 and conceded 6. But then they went on a small run and then they went on to win. And at that time, they still had a top quality squad there. Many of the players there had been stars for both Manchester United and even England and a few other teams in their time. So, but if you were to put that team against this United team, that United team would win hands down. And of course, they had a much better manager.
Yeah, true. They had 10 times better manager, honestly. So yeah, definitely it would be a better manager. Definitely be better. But yeah, last few minutes of the game, while we do the game wraps up.
1 minute left. It looks as though United will be going away empty-handed.
And yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. But let me just see. Wait. Okay. So, please shout out your socials, Manny.
Yeah, socials. You can find me on Twitter at Thunderthray1981. You can also catch me on Instagram at MannyThunderthray1981. And you can catch me on YouTube on a few other channels, Stephen Featley TV and Del Boy Gunner, maybe 1 or 2 others. You can also catch me on RS Talks Football. And you'll probably be seeing a lot more of me on a few other channels. And I was I'm really grateful to Hanno for bringing me here today, and time is about to elapse. But once again, thanks a lot, Hanno, for asking me to come on and do this with you. First time, a unique experience, and I'm really grateful. And it's all over bar the shouting.
Yeah, and like I said, Money, he made his debut, and he made his debut alone, but excellent stream. Thank you, Money, for taking over the first half. And yeah, you honestly, it was a nice game for you to watch. I didn't give you a boring game to make your debut for watch along. Definitely not.
Yes.
So,
Right.
and
So, what have you got coming up next, Hannah?
next up, I got a watch along for the Chelsea Tottenham game, and yeah, hopefully Chelsea smash them. I will have, of course, a few Spud fans on, aka Spurs. If you don't know Spud, they Spurs. So yeah. Um,
Sounds
uh,
interesting. Sounds interesting. I'm going for a 2-2 draw, and I think the added subplot of Antonio Conte coming back to Chelsea will always be exciting. If you have to end this soon, we'll just have a few questions. What was your opinion of Conte as a manager? How good a job do you think he did at Chelsea?
uh, so I wasn't part of, so I'd see it in real time. His whole regime and everything, because I went into football that time. But definitely, what I heard at Chelsea, he did a great job. Took us from absolute nothing to the pinnacle of English football, winning the Premier League, and he saved so many careers. Honestly, that season. He's a new, at least for one season, he saved so many careers. Um, so I think he's a great manager, honestly. And yeah, I know his ego is already cracked. When we beat him 4 times, 2 times at the bridge, 2 times away. So his ego is already cracked. Like I said on all the other channels, I think he is going. It's going. He's going to show his ball date tomorrow. He's definitely going to show it. So that's my prediction for
Right.
that.
And now we see the Brentford players taking in a standing ovation from their fans. Very well deserved. And are you ending the stream now, or?
Um, how much time do you have left? Or do you
Well,
need to go soon?
no, I don't need to go anywhere, but there are 2 minutes left till 2 hours. So if you want to end this, I don't know what you want to do. So just tell me what you're
Uh,
planning on doing. And,
okay, let's go through the games of what's happened. Let's do that. Let me just get the games up. Then we can do that. So let me just get some shockers as well. Some shockers don't. Uh, yeah, and, and let me just make this bigger. Uh, Dashboard, and yeah, I will have the results and everything now. But yeah, I got one. I got 1 point from that game. I said a 1-0 draw, and the league I'm in, I got a 1-1 draw. So I got a result in that game. So I'm happy about that. Let's go there. Okay. So of course, early kickoff was Aston Villa 2, Everton 0. Not Everton, no, Everton 1. Did you see much of this game, or really didn't see any of it?
no, I didn't really see much of the game, and I was actually preparing to watch the Arsenal Leicester game because I was expecting to do a watch along for that. That didn't materialise, but from what I was able to read later on, as I was saying, during the stream, Villa looked a lot more improved, and Tyrone Mings coming back into the side made a difference. There was a bit of a subplot over there with Mings and Gerrard having a bit of a feud, and Gerrard taking the captaincy away from Mings, but Mings has responded the right way, and at least they've recovered well from the loss to Bournemouth on the opening match week. So Villa look good. Everton do look solid defensively, but again, their lack of a goal-scoring threat will come back to haunt them. In fact, the goal they scored today was an own goal by Lucas Digne, who actually used to play for them, ironically. So Everton need to sign a striker before the end of the window. No question about it. They cannot wait on Calvert-Lewin's fitness. They need a striker stat.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I went for 1-0 draw. Not for 1-0 draw, 1-0 to Aston Villa. So at least I got 1.5, close to the correct scoreline. But it is Villa's first one. Everton still on 0 points. And I want to get your thoughts on Gerrard as a manager. Is he overrated, or is he just a manager of a bit of a bad squad?
He's got a lot to learn as a manager, and let's not forget that he replaced Dean Smith, who had done a brilliant job getting Aston Villa, safe from relegation in 2019 and 2020, and he had them playing well near the end of the season, but then they had a bad run where they only won 2 of their last 11 games. Otherwise, they would almost certainly have been challenging for Europe. I wouldn't say that he's overrated necessarily, because he did do well with a Rangers team which was able to break Celtic's dominance up in Scotland. Coming over here to the Premiership, he has shown some promise in some games, but obviously going through that bad run near the end was not a good look for him, and I would definitely say that he has some improvement to make. He should be okay this season. I have Aston Villa challenging for a European spot, maybe the Conference League. If they can get 7th, that would be a successful season for them. But I think it's still early days this season, and we will see how he goes. He's obviously, tried to. Thankfully, he's made Coutinho's signing permanent, but he will have some improvement to make, and I think he will probably get better. But as to whether he can actually take the team up to a higher level, beating some of the teams above them, I don't see that yet. He will still need to do some work, but you never know. I have Aston Villa doing well this season, maybe getting 7th.
Fair enough. I got them finishing 13th because I don't rate Gerrard any better as a manager. So yeah, that's why I got them. But next game, next was your team, the Red Scums of North London, beating Leicester City, which I should, but 4-2, conceding 2 goals. Is that a worry for you?
Here's the thing. There is some talk about how, as I've said, I was covering all of these games in the stream at some point and talking about my and telling you my observations. I did see most of the game, and Leicester did look lively. I wasn't predicting that Leicester would be a walkover, because they have a good-spirited team, some good youngsters, the likes of Dewsbury Hall and Justin were doing really well, causing a lot of worry on the left side, giving Ben White all sorts of grief. For Gabriel Jesus to make his home debut, and score twice for us, it was amazing. It had to happen, and I'm glad that he's opened his account. Whether this will necessarily translate to more goals this season, it remains to be seen, but it does look promising for him. And obviously, we did have a little bit of worry at the back. It was very unfortunate to see William Saliba concede that own goal with his, trying to head it away. He inadvertently headed it past Aaron Ramsdale into the net. But, defensively we looked solid for the most part, but there were some areas where we were punished. And maybe that does boil down to game management, I don't know. I would say that it's great that we have some good strikers who can, score goals and give us that cushion and make sure that we can at least, make it look a little bit more comfortable. Because after Maddison scored Leicester's second, when Martinelli scored his goal to make it 4-2, it was almost game over. And of course, immediately after that own goal from Saliba, we had Granit Xhaka coming and scoring, and Xhaka had a good game today. Certainly outshone Yuri Tillemans. So I think to answer your question, Hannah, it's not necessarily a worry per se, as long as our strikers and our midfielders are doing well, but we will need to patch up that defence. And if Takahiro Tomiyasu is fit again, he should come straight back into the team ahead of Ben White. I'm sorry. Zinchenko, I thought, had another good game, and it would be wonderful if you want to sort of play some more defensive football near the end, if you could bring him off of Kieran Tierney, there's your competition right there. But Ben White, people talk about him having had a decent game against Crystal Palace. I'm sorry, this time around he didn't do too well, in my opinion. He looks a bit like a duck out of water. So not much of a worry, but we need to tighten up our defence.
Fair enough, fair enough. And now, a result that shocked people was Brighton 0, Newcastle 0, goalless draw at what stadium is it?
The Seagulls, the Amex Stadium.
Yeah, the Amex Stadium. I think both teams just cancel each other out. Didn't watch the game, but of what I could see, it just looks like both teams cancelled each other out.
It was a game which the Seagulls were very unlucky not to win, because they had a lot of the better chances. Nick Pope in the Newcastle goal had to make a few saves, and another goal line clearance from Fabian Schär later on. And yeah, it was a game which Brighton dominated, and Graham Potter has the Seagulls playing some very good football. Of course, they beat Manchester United, and when we played them, of course, last season, we lost to them at home. So they're the type of team who can also give teams a run for their money. And even after losing Mark Cucurella, they still look very cohesive and very impressive going forward. So it's interesting. I think they're definitely a team that can do quite well. I think they'll challenge. I think the thing with a lot of these teams which overachieve is that when they play teams at lower position than them, where they're expected to win those games, they may struggle. But teams like Brighton can definitely give the top teams a run for their money, and Potter's doing good things. If Arteta leaves, there is some talk about Potter coming to Arsenal. He's played us several times. It could be a possibility. I wouldn't mind having him, to be honest.
Yeah, but no, please no. Then you guys will be actually good. So no, please.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next game was, of course, Bournemouth. Whoever scored their own goal, I can't remember. I'm fuming with you because it was 3-0. I said 3-0.
Yep.
And there were almost 11 minutes remaining, and he had to get an own goal. Why?
Jefferson Lerma. That was the guy.
Why? I could have had 3 points. 3 points on the board. I'm fuming about that. But have they already basically secured the title the way they're going?
Hard to say. I was talking about this as well and saying that yes, they've had some good games against teams which didn't really offer that much in terms of resistance, but I think they will face stiffer opposition, and them winning the league title is not confirmed. So they're obviously picking up some good momentum, and that can carry them through. But they still have to play some of the better teams like Liverpool, obviously Chelsea, and one or two others. So I think now they look favourites, but I still think Liverpool will pit them at the post.
Okay, fair enough. And now a next game that many people thought were going to be a draw. Yeah, I said 1-0 to Fulham, and it's no. Fulham versus Wolves. And Mitrovic, why couldn't you just get a goal? Just one goal, even if it was an own goal. Why not? Just for my prediction to be correct. So,
Yeah.
game, it lived up to expectation. Nothing really happened. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah. Any
Actually, there was a penalty save near the end. I think it was Jose Sarr who saved Mitrovic's penalty, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it was. If you're talking about the Wolves Fulham game, it was Jose Sarr who saved Mitrovic's penalty. There were 10 minutes left, and the Cordova Reed had been brought down. So there were some chances, there were some opportunities, but it looks as though both teams were just happy to, try and cancel each other out, try and display a little bit of tenacity whenever they needed to, and do whatever they needed to do. And yeah, it was just a game where they both showed some good spirit, and I think Fulham also proved that they're actually good value for money. I had Fulham going down this season, but the spirit they showed in their last game against Liverpool and today, when they could have won, has been very impressive. And Wolves have also recovered quite well after that disappointing defeat to Leeds earlier on. So I think both teams actually could do quite well. It'll remain to be seen. And of course, I mean, the Fulham of days gone by, they're normally a team which would do well in the Championship, get promoted, and then be relegated again, going straight back down. But this Fulham team look very cohesive, very tight.
yeah.
I'm impressed.
And Fulham are now winless in their last 12 Premier League games in August, since a 2-0 win against Fulham 2011. Only in April, 14 games between 2004 and 2012. Um, Wolves had a longer winless run in specific month. So, and then Fulham are now without a win in 12 Premier League games, the longest ongoing run of any side currently in the division. 4 draws, 8 losses, while it's also the it is also Fulham's joint longest winless run in the competition history. So big stuff numbers there for both teams. And yeah, now the next game was, of course, the game we did a watch along to. United versus Brentford.
Did
United,
you talk about the Southampton Leeds game?
Southampton Leeds. Oh, I think. Oh yeah, I skipped it. Sorry,
Yeah.
my mistake. It's in a 2-2. Don't think both of them could score 2 goals. Honestly, I thought it will be a boring game, 1-0, but it ended up a 2-2 draw.
Yeah.
The, what's your thoughts on this game?
Well, I had Leeds United winning 2-1, only for the former Tottenham defender Kyle Walker-Peters to come up with that equaliser in the 81st minute. So once again, Spurs find a way to muck me over. But it's interesting. It's amazing how Southampton have recovered. And there was a lot of talk about how the manager, Hassan Huttle, could be under threat, how he might have lost the dressing room. But he made a triple substitution later on. I think he brought on, he brought on about 3 people: Adam Armstrong, Joe Aribo, and who was the third one? Let me just check and see who the third one was. It was. Hold on. Yeah, it was Sekou Mara who he brought off the bench, and that seemed to have have a nice effect as well. Yeah, Aribo and Armstrong came on at the same time, and then Mara came on after 70 minutes, and it was then that they were able to work their magic. So I think it was a good recovery for Southampton, because they were creamed by Tottenham last week. And of course, you'll be playing Tottenham tomorrow, so you will have seen how cohesive their midfield and attack were. They definitely ripped Tottenham to Southampton to shreds. And so for Southampton to recover the way they did was really good. And Leeds have really surprised me. I had them going down in the 18th position, but the way they've recovered after losing both Rafinha and Calvin Phillips has been amazing. They've played. They won against Wolves, obviously, and have done well against Southampton. Granted, neither of these two teams are really of that much of a high caliber, so we'll see how Leeds do this season. But for now, I do enjoy their cohesion, and they can certainly give a few teams above them a run for their money. If they manage to keep this up, they could end up finishing very comfortably at the top end of the bottom half of the table. Somewhere it may be 13th or 14th, perhaps. But that was an impressive. It was a good result for both teams. I think both teams can be happy. I mean, I'm not happy because I had Leeds winning, but both teams can be happy.
Yeah, true. Chris's comments, he says, he's a Liverpool and Carl fan. He said, you have to feel sorry for United fans. Definitely. But he said it with a full before the United fans. So he knows what he's doing. Unfortunately, I don't know why it's not showing up on my screen. So apologies for that. But yeah, true. You have to feel sorry for them. But yeah, next game was of course this Manchester United Brentford game. And what did you make of it?
I saw the entire first half. I mean, almost all of it. I actually missed the first minute due to some issues with my television service. Thankfully, it got resolved very quickly. Hallelujah. But I can say, hand on heart, knock on wood, that I have never ever seen Manchester United performing so poorly. I mean, granted, I remember seeing them, capitulate under Ole Solskjaer in a few games. I mean, certainly against Liverpool at Old Trafford, they were abysmal. But to lose like this against Brentford, to concede 4 goals in that first half, it was just absolutely shocking. And it was a perfect example of the defence that was picked for today's game being completely at 6s and 7s, completely ill-suited, not able to get anything right. It was just dreadful. It really was. And Brentford, we should give credit to them. They were good value for their money today. Their attack and their midfield were just bang on every single time. And the defence didn't even need to do very much because, frankly, United's midfield and attack they were literally toothless. And if Rashford were to leave Manchester United, leaving them with only Cristiano Ronaldo, who doesn't want to be there, and Jadon Sancho, then what can they possibly do? And they only have 2 senior goalkeepers right now in David De Gea and Tom Heaton. De Gea didn't have the best of first halves, recovered in the second with some decent saves, but by that time the damage had long been done. So they've got problems, United. They've got problems. That's all I can say.
Yeah, definitely. United are just poor. And like I said, rest if you're watching. Mates, I don't care if you're there or not, if you're on vacation, not just you're on the stream next week. You're on it. Because I have to have a word with you, one-on-one. I have to have a word with you. Because some of the stuff he said, on Lisandro Martinez and Chelsea and United 4th, I have to speak with him. But yeah, your predictions for next?
I have so Chelsea and Tottenham are playing tomorrow, aren't they? I predict that it'll be a 2-2 draw because I think neither team will want to lose this match. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Hannah, but that's just my opinion. Neither team will want to lose this match, and losing it will definitely be, um, it will not it will not look good for either team. And the Forest West Ham United game should be a 1-1 draw. This should be the game where Nottingham Forest open their account, and I think West Ham United overachieved in many ways last season. I don't think they will have the stamina to, um, you know, reach those highs again. But I think it'll be a 1-1 draw, and I think Forest will want to open their account.
Yeah, I agree with the 1-1 draw. 2-2 draw, not so much. Like I say, my prediction, if you haven't already, go watch the prediction stream, Premier League prediction stream, and yeah. Tomorrow is going to be a big stream. Chelsea versus Tottenham, always big game. We'll have Tottenham fans on, and Chelsea fans will galore. I will represent my team, and if I get another Spurs fan on, I will have 2 Chelsea fans as 2 Spurs fans. So yeah, but yeah, I think that's the end of the stream. 2 hours and 20 minutes each. Manu, just update your socials once again.
Yeah, my socials are on Twitter. You can find me find me there at Thangadurai1981, and on Instagram it's Manny Thangadurai1981. So it's effectively my surname and my year of birth, and that's pretty much the way it works. So catch me there. You can also catch me on a few other channels on YouTube: Del Boy Gunner TV, Stephen Featley TV, Oris Talks Football. You're seeing a lot more of me these days, so I'm happy to be floating around and contributing whatever I can. And thanks once again to Hanno's Coach Corner for bringing me on. It was almost, I would say, last minute, but I was happy to join in, and I'm really, really grateful to have done this. It was an experience. I was thrown in, really, and I kind of enjoyed it. I only hope that if you were watching, I know it might not be reflected in the comments, but I hope you guys, if you were watching, you enjoyed it to an extent.
Yeah, I think the people enjoyed it. And yeah, like I say, thank you again for helping out. I know it isn't always fun doing watching on your own, but I want to say, thank you, you did it. And at least you had an entertaining game to do it. At least you had Brentford 4 goals. That's all you can ask for. 4 goals enough to do a watch along alone. That's all you can ask.
Exactly.
And then the 4 goals is against one of your biggest rivals. So yeah.
Cherry on top of the cake, on top of the icing. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
All right.
But I will have you on more in the future. If I want many Arsenal fans to stream, you're definitely the first one I'll contact and yell with you. And yeah, thanks you everyone who like the stream, who subscribe. So close to 145 subscribers. Make sure you do go over, subscribe, like, and share the channel. And I will put after the stream, I will put in all Manny's social links. Then you guys can follow him on Instagram and Twitter. So peace out, everybody. See you all later.
Hey, donkey bud. Bye, everyone.